He was already drowning at work. And I told myself I was just helping. I met with his boss, talked about deadlines, smiled in all the right places. And when he kissed me, I didn't pull away. I told myself it was just once, but once became twice. Then 4 times. And then one day, my husband came home, eyes hollow, voice flat, and said, "They let me go." I looked him in the eye and lied. This is my confession. I didn't just cheat. I helped take everything from him, and he still thinks I was on his side. My husband wasn't the kind of man who fell apart easily. Ryan was dependable, solid, the kind of man who fixed things without needing to be asked. When we first met, I used to say he was safe in the best way. After my 20s full of chaos and charming liars, Ryan felt like a warm room I could finally sit down in. But lately, he hadn't been himself. He'd started coming home later than usual, quiet, preoccupied. He'd barely touch his food. And when I'd ask if he was okay, he'd just nod and say, "Long day." That was it. Every time. Long day. He worked for a major construction firm in Dallas. Project management mostly. Deadlines, reports, team coordination. He used to be proud of what he did. But over the last year, something shifted. A new boss took over. Someone Ryan had trouble connecting with. A man named Cole. I knew Cole. Not well, but enough. We'd met at a company dinner 2 years ago when I still worked in HR for a partner firm. He was sharp, polished, the kind of man who wore a perfect shirt with no tie and still looked like he owned the room. He smiled too easily, drank just enough, remembered everyone's name. The kind of boss who either helped your career or made sure it stopped cold. Ryan never said much about him, just that he was intense, that he expected results without excuses. And Ryan, well, he'd never been great with pressure he couldn't control. One night, after Ryan went to bed early, I found myself scrolling LinkedIn on my phone. I searched for Cole. I don't know why. Curiosity, maybe. He hadn't posted anything new. Just the same polished headshot, same list of achievements. I closed the app. The next day, I got a message. It was from Cole, not through work, on my personal Facebook, which I hadn't touched in months. "Hey, Melissa, long time. Random question. Can I pick your brain about something Ryan's role? Strictly off the record." I stared at the message for a long time. It didn't seem inappropriate. Not exactly, but something about it made my stomach twist. "Still," I replied. "Sure. What's going on?" He suggested we meet. Casual. Daytime. "Nothing serious," he said. "Just want your perspective. Thought you'd be honest with me." Ryan was working late that Thursday. I didn't tell him I was meeting with Cole. I justified it in my head. It was work-related. Sort of. I told myself I was just helping. That maybe I could give Cole a better sense of what was going on. Smooth things over. Buy Ryan some time. We met at a small coffee shop in Uptown, the kind with Edison bulbs and expensive muffins no one eats. Cole was already there when I arrived. Dressed down in a dark blazer, no laptop, just a charming smile and 2 drinks, one of which he slid toward me without asking what I wanted. "Still drink lattes, right?" he said with a wink. That should have been my first red flag. That he remembered. That he assumed. We made small talk at first. He asked how I was, how work was. He complimented my blouse. Said marriage must be treating me well. And then he got to Ryan. "He's a good guy," he said. "But I worry he's in over his head." I didn't defend Ryan. Not right away. I just listened. Cole went on about timelines, budgets, expectations. He spoke in polished phrases. Nothing direct, nothing actionable. But I could read between the lines. Ryan was slipping. And Cole didn't like carrying dead weight. Then he leaned forward. I'm not saying you can fix it, Melissa, but maybe you can help me see what I'm missing. There was something in his tone, soft, suggestive, not quite flirtation, more like an invitation to step into a room I hadn't realized I'd already entered. I left the cafe 30 minutes later, heart racing, head full of contradictions. I told myself it was nothing. Just coffee. Just a favor. Just the beginning. I didn't tell Ryan about the meeting. Not that night. Not the next one either. He came home late both evenings, shoulders slumped, eyes half shut before he even walked through the door. I warmed up leftovers and asked how his day went. He mumbled, "Fine," kissed my temple and disappeared into the shower. By the time he came to bed, I was pretending to sleep. The truth is, I didn't know how to explain it. I wasn't sure what I'd done wrong, or if I'd done anything wrong at all. Cole's message didn't stop after that meeting. A few days later, he sent another. "I've been thinking about what you said. Want to finish that conversation over lunch?" I stared at the screen for a while. There was a part of me that knew this wasn't about Ryan's work anymore. The subtext had changed. It wasn't about his performance or feedback. It was about Cole and me. But there was another part of me that wanted to go. And that's the part I listened to. We met in a sleek bistro downtown. Cole wore a navy button-down, no tie, perfect posture, perfect teeth. He ordered us both wine before I even sat down. "I hope that's okay," he said. "You look like you've had a long week." He wasn't wrong. He asked about Ryan again. Asked about our marriage. Gently, like he was just curious. I don't remember everything I said, but I remember the feeling. The relief of being asked about me. Of someone noticing that I was tired, worn thin, stretched between being a wife, a house manager, and a silent cheerleader for a man who didn't have anything left to cheer for. I told him Ryan was trying. That he just needed time. Cole nodded. Sometimes time just delays the inevitable. I didn't like that, but I didn't push back. After lunch, he walked me to my car. He didn't touch me, didn't try anything. But the way he stood close enough that I could smell the cologne on his collar, made something stir in me I didn't want to name. When I got home that evening, Ryan was sitting in the dark. The TV was on, muted. "Everything okay?" I asked, setting my purse down. He nodded. "Just tired." That was always his answer. I made us both a drink, sat beside him. He didn't ask about my day, and I didn't tell him where I'd been. The third time I saw Cole, it wasn't lunch or coffee. It was a hotel. He texted, "I can be blunt. I want you. You don't owe me anything, but I think we both know what this is." I stared at that message for nearly an hour. I could have deleted it, blocked him, told Ryan the truth. Instead, I replied, "What hotel?" I stood in front of the mirror in the hotel bathroom afterward, staring at myself. My lipstick was smeared, my hair a mess, my heart pounding. I didn't feel like a seductress. I didn't even feel beautiful. I felt real. I hadn't felt that in a long time. Cole didn't make promises. He didn't talk about leaving his life or disrupting mine. He just kissed me slowly and asked me how I liked to be touched. Like it was a secret he wanted to learn for no one but himself. When I got home that night, Ryan was asleep on the couch. I stood there for a while, watching him breathe, wondering what I'd just done, and who exactly I'd done it to. Because it wasn't just betrayal. It wasn't just sex. It was the first time in a long time I had chosen me. And I didn't feel sorry. Not yet. I told myself it was just once. That what happened in that hotel room with Cole was a single lapse in judgment, a moment of weakness I could box up and bury. I convinced myself it wouldn't happen again, that I'd get it out of my system like a fever breaking. But when the next message came, I didn't hesitate. Same place. Tomorrow. No pressure. I stared at it for 3 seconds before replying, "What time?" The second time was different. Less adrenaline, more intention. There was no excuse this time, no pretense of confusion, no blurred lines. I knew what I was walking into, and I wanted it. The way he looked at me when I entered the room, like I was something chosen, shattered something inside me I hadn't realized was still standing. Cole didn't ask me about Ryan. Not once. It was like he existed in another world during those hours. In that world, I wasn't someone's wife. I wasn't the quiet one at home holding everything together. I was just Melissa. And I didn't have to explain myself. We saw each other 4 times that month. Always at the same hotel. Always mid-afternoon. Always followed by me going home to Ryan with shampooed hair and a heart full of silence. And then one day, Cole offered me something else. We were lying in bed, the window cracked open, letting in the hum of the city below. I had just told him a stupid story from college, one that made him laugh so hard he had to sit up and catch his breath. He looked at me and said, "You ever think about doing something else?" Like what? I mean, you're smart. You've got good instincts. You'd be a killer in corporate HR. We're restructuring soon. I could open a conversation. I blinked. Are you serious? He nodded. You've already helped more than you know. I didn't ask what that meant, but I held on to those words like they were currency. At home, things with Ryan were fine. He still came home tired, still avoided eye contact when he talked about work. One night he said, "Cole's been on edge lately. Think something's coming." I felt something sharp twist in my stomach. "You'll be okay," I said. "You always are." He smiled faintly. "You think?" I nodded. I know. I kissed him that night. Out of guilt? Out of fear? Maybe both. We hadn't been intimate in weeks. He touched me like he was trying to remember how. I closed my eyes and tried not to compare. The next morning, Cole sent another message. "Today's not about sex. Come anyway." That was the first time he didn't touch me. We sat in the hotel room, side by side, drinking coffee like it was a corner office. He asked me what I thought of a reorg. I gave him my opinion. He listened. At the door, he kissed my cheek and said, "I like you like this. Focused. Sharp." That kiss burned more than the others, because this time it wasn't lust. It was power. I walked back to my car and sat behind the wheel for 10 minutes, hands on the steering wheel, staring at nothing. I had convinced myself I was doing this for the thrill, for the attention, for the escape. But somewhere along the way, I had started doing it for something much worse. Control. It happened on a Wednesday. Ryan came home 3 hours early, white as a sheet. I heard the door open, the keys hit the table, the heavy silence that followed like a second set of footsteps. I stood in the kitchen, pretending to clean something that didn't need cleaning. When I turned around, he was just standing there, coat still on, mouth slightly open like he was still waiting for the words to come. "They let me go," he said. I blinked. "What?" "Cole," him and the board, said they were restructuring, downsizing, whatever term makes it sound clean. I covered my mouth. "Oh my God, Ryan." He laughed, a sound that wasn't quite a laugh, something bitter and broken. They offered severance, generous too, made it sound like a favor. I moved to him, wrapped my arms around his chest, felt his body stiff under mine. "I'm so sorry," I whispered. "You didn't deserve that." And I meant it. I did. But what I didn't say, what I couldn't say, was that I knew. That I had felt it coming. That I had been sitting in rooms with the man who made the decision while Ryan stayed up late at night fixing reports he thought might save him. We didn't talk much that night. Ryan drank. I sat with him. We watched something on TV I can't remember. He fell asleep on the couch. I sat in the dark long after he started snoring, thinking about every second I had spent with Cole. Every word, every silence, Every lie by omission. Was it my fault? Not directly. I hadn't told Cole to fire him. I hadn't asked for favors, but I had smiled. I had said things, given opinions. And maybe without realizing it, I'd painted a version of Ryan that made him look disposable. Or maybe Cole had already decided. And I was just the thing that made him feel justified. When I finally checked my phone, I had a message from Cole. Hope everything went smoothly. Let me know if you want to talk. That was it. No apology. No explanation. Just a cold line that made my blood run hot. I didn't respond. Not that night. Not the next day either. Ryan was quiet for the rest of the week. Polite. He said he was fine, that it was a good excuse to take a break, that maybe it was time to pivot. But I saw the way he sat at the table with job boards open and empty coffee cups piling up around him. I saw the way he flinched every time a text came through. He never asked me if I'd known, and I never offered the truth. Cole reached out again. This time it was different. Still thinking about you. We don't have to stop. I stared at that message for a long time. I could have deleted it. Could have said no. Could have said anything. Instead, I closed the app and cried in the shower for the first time in years. The worst part wasn't what I did with Cole. It was the way I had smiled through it. The way I had believed, somewhere deep down, that I was helping, that I had influence, that I was in control of something. But control isn't power. Not when it comes at someone else's expense. Especially not when that someone is the man who trusted you with his most vulnerable moments, and never once suspected you were the sharpest blade in the room. It started with a name. I was in the kitchen, stacking dishes into the washer, when Ryan said it, low, like he was testing the weight of it. Cole messaged me today. I froze. What? I asked. Too quickly? Too sharp. He didn't look at me. He was staring at his laptop, pretending to scroll. Just a follow-up. Said he hoped I was landing on my feet. Mentioned you. My throat tightened. Mentioned me how? Ryan shrugged. Said you'd been helpful, that he appreciated your perspective. I forced my hands to keep moving, rinsing a glass I'd already washed. We talked once, at that company dinner, remember? He didn't say anything. Not for a long time. Then finally, you talked to him after that? I looked up. What do you mean? He turned toward me. Not angry, not suspicious. Just tired. I mean, did you talk to him? About me? About work? Before I got fired. I wiped my hands and sat down across from him. Yes, I said. Once. Maybe twice. That wasn't a lie, but it wasn't the truth. He looked at me for a long time, searching for something. Why didn't you tell me? I thought I could help, I said softly. You weren't connecting with him? I thought maybe if I gave him context. Context? He repeated, almost amused. What kind of context? I didn't answer. Because if I opened that door, even an inch, the whole thing would come pouring out. I don't know, I said. I was just trying to help. He nodded slowly. Did you sleep with him? My stomach dropped. The way he asked it, like he already knew, like he was bracing for confirmation, made it worse than any accusation. No, I said. That was a lie. He looked at me a moment longer, then stood. I believe you. I almost asked him why, but I didn't want to hear the answer. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling while he slept beside me. I could hear his breathing. Slow, steady, measured. Like someone practicing being okay. And I thought about the way he'd looked at me. Not with anger, but with something worse. Resignation. Like he'd finally stopped expecting me to be honest. I wanted to confess. I wanted to say everything. The hotel, the wine, the way Cole touched me like he knew where I was weakest. But I didn't. Because I knew once I said it, I wouldn't just lose him. I'd lose the last version of myself that still believed I could be forgiven. A week later, Ryan got an interview at a different firm. He seemed lighter, not happy, but focused. I cheered for him, helped him pick out a blazer, watched him practice answers in the mirror. He smiled for the first time in weeks, and I smiled too. The kind of smile you wear when you know you don't deserve the good that's happening in front of you, but you accept it anyway. Because what else is there? Cole sent one more message. I've moved to a new region, new team. If you're ever in Houston. I didn't reply. I deleted the thread. I could have blocked him, but some part of me wanted the temptation to stay visible, as a reminder of what I was capable of when no one was watching. I kept the lie. I buried it under dinners and polite laughter and good intentions. And Ryan? He believed what he needed to believe. Because sometimes love isn't about the truth. It's about the version of the truth you can live with. I still remember the headline. Cole Morgan named Regional Vice President of Operations. There was a photo attached. Him in a tailored gray suit, hands folded, that perfect practice smile that never quite reached his eyes. I read the article 3 times, each sentence a weight pressing into my chest. He'd done it. He'd stepped over Ryan, over everyone, and climbed higher. And I had helped him. Not on paper, not directly. But I'd been part of it. I'd given him insight, leverage, power. I'd handed him the ammunition and looked the other way when he pulled the trigger. Ryan was in the garage that afternoon, fixing something on the car. I brought him a glass of lemonade like it was any other day, like I hadn't just seen the man who destroyed his career smiling on my phone screen. Ryan wiped his hands and kissed my cheek. Thanks, babe. That was the worst part. The kindness, the quiet trust that still lived in his voice. A few weeks after Cole's promotion, Ryan started his new job. It wasn't as senior as the last one, and it didn't pay quite as well, but he was grateful. He came home tired, but not defeated. We had dinner at the table again, watched movies without scrolling our phones, laughed once or twice. He was trying, and so was I. But something had broken between us. Not with a crash, but with a quiet snap that left no sound, only distance. I could feel it in the way we touched. Like we were acting out a memory of love instead of living inside it. I kept thinking, he doesn't know what I did. He thinks we made it. But I knew the truth. And I carried it with me like a second skin. I started going for walks at night. Not long ones, just around the block. AirPods in, coat zipped, nothing in my pockets but silence. Sometimes I'd catch myself imagining what it would feel like to tell him, to sit down at the table and say, I did it. I slept with him. I lied. I would imagine his face, and then I would imagine the silence after he stood up and walked away. And I couldn't do it. Because Ryan had already lost so much. And if I gave him the rest of the truth, I didn't know what would be left of him, or of me. A month later, I got a letter from the HR firm where I used to work. A job offer, one I hadn't applied for. Cole had recommended me. I stared at the letter until the words blurred. Then I folded it in half and slid it into the trash. Some power is poison. Today we're still married. To everyone on the outside, we look like the couple that weathered a hard year and came out stronger. But inside, we are two people living parallel lives, close enough to touch, too far to reach. I sometimes wonder if Ryan knows, if he suspects more than he ever let on, if he's just chosen silence the way I did. Or maybe he's moved on in his own way. Maybe I'm the only one still haunted. They say betrayal is loud, that it comes with yelling and breaking and tears. But I know now, some betrayals are quiet. A lie you tell once, then again, then forever, until it becomes a part of the life you keep. After you've burned the one you meant to live.